This hour's keyword for cash in the multi-market contest is radio. Call star WIN now. That's star 946 or enter online at 1067thefandc.com/cash by 9:20 Eastern Time. Message and data rates apply. If you're randomly selected, we'll call you. And if you know the keyword for cash, you'll win $1,000. Again, the keyword for cash is radio. Call star 946 now for your chance to win $1,000.
Just want to mention real quick before we talk to Nationals manager Matt Williams that Jason gave out a fake story.
That wasn't fake.
When we were talking about the haunted house.
Cakes believed it.
He was duped by I don't know if it was The Onion or where you saw
it was
the story.
CNN.com.
No chance. No chance. All right, but joining us right now, unfortunately, it's not a great topic, but it's the end of the Nats season, and Matt Williams has been on with us every Wednesday throughout the season. It's been a real pleasure for us having you on, Matt. Thank you for kind of this wrap-up session. That's awesome. I'm sorry the season ended the way it did. What are your thoughts right now, as you're sitting here a couple days removed?
Well, thank you guys, too. It's been a pleasure being on with you every week.
Yeah, thanks.
Disappointing. Disappointing we didn't get to where we wanted to get to. The regular season was great. We had a lot of ups and downs, certainly, but in the end, it came out kind of where we wanted to be. And then went into the playoff series, and it didn't happen the way we wanted it to happen. So it's disappointing in that regard.
All right, so we need to go through some things, which I know that you've talked about, but we want to hear kind of the thought process that you had, and we'll go to game 2. And I don't even want to go to the Jordan Zimmerman thing first. I want to talk to you about being thrown out of a game and what it's like for you. And I actually don't know what you do during the game. We were kind of debating amongst ourselves, like, oh, he's probably in a tunnel. He's got a Bluetooth. He's talking to the bench coaches. Like, what happens and what was the thought process? Obviously, Cabrera got thrown out. You're not supposed to argue balls and strikes. You went out there. You get tossed in a playoff game, which I know that you never would have wanted to have happened, but it did happen. What's going on in your head and what happens?
Well, first of all, I went out there to get his approval away from the umpire. If he makes contact with that umpire, he gets suspended.
Right.
So we didn't want that. So the first order of business was to go out there and get him out of the way.
Right.
And then once you do get tossed from the game, there's all kinds of things that you can do. There's certain things you can't do. We don't have any Bluetooth capabilities with the bench coach or anybody else. The tunnel's there, the batting cage is there. Certainly, the video replay is available to me and during that time. So I was all over the place, down in the tunnel, talking with Randy, talking with players as they came back from the bats, going up to monitor balls and strikes and plays and things like that. So a lot to be done at that point.
What does Cabrera do?
He's doing the same thing. I mean, he's around in the clubhouse, everywhere. So once you're removed from the game, then there's not much. You certainly can't be on the bench, and so there's all kinds of spaces for us to go to stay in it and try to help as much as we can, although we're out.
Right.
You didn't want to put a disguise on like Bobby Valentine did back in the day?
No.
Hey, let me ask you this. Did you in general have a problem with the umpiring?
No, my job is to protect my guys. That's my job. My job as a manager is to protect them, and I certainly wanted to get Asdrubal out of there.
Right.
We don't want to lose him for any part of that series. So, so that was first and foremost on my mind.
Was there a thought to let me get tossed here to try to fire up the guys? Did that ever factor in your head?
No. I mean, it's a situation where I'm trying to diffuse the situation with Asdrubal first and foremost.
Right.
Get him out of there. But no, there's no thought to that.
Right.
Matt, I didn't have a problem with pulling Jordan, like a lot of people do. I'm not here to hammer you. I wanted to go to Game 4 in the 7th inning. You bring in, Blevins is pitching, then you relieve Blevins with Thornton as a left-hander. Okay, yeah. You're going to face two lefties at the top of the lineup, Blanco and Panic. Blanco is out on the bunt, and then Panic singles. So you got a guy, and you got Posey, who's a right-hander. My question, we talked about it, and I wanted to ask you, why leave Thornton in there to face the right-hander Posey? Why not bring in, Barrett there or bring in Clippard there to face the right-hander?
Well, first and foremost, we have multiple things that we think about throughout the baseball game. One, we go back to the fifth inning. Tanner's the long guy, right? So we've got to get Gio out of there because we have an opportunity to score.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Gio out of there, didn't score, and then Tanner comes in, and we expect Tanner to go long. He got into some trouble, so we had to relieve him with Blev.
Right.
Blev comes in and strikes out Belt to end the inning.
Yep.
Figure we push him through as long as we can push him through. We get in a situation where the seventh inning, we've got two lefties at the top of the order. Matt certainly has good splits against righties too. He handles righties fine. And we got Blanco out, Panic gets the base hit, and then Posey gets the base hit. And then we've got a situation. So the situation is Pence and Barrett. And Aaron, first and foremost, don't want to take anything away from Aaron's season. The job that he did for us was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in to face Giancarlo Stanton when he was the hottest hitter on the planet and striking him out. He's been in that situation many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
And he understands it. It didn't happen for him. And ultimately, that inning unraveled on him. But that's our guy that we've gone to all year. That's the guy that has come in and done a great job in that situation. So, and frankly, that's the guy. That's why he's on the roster for the playoffs, to be in that situation. He's not a 1+ inning guy. He's the guy that comes in and gets a tough righty out. He ended up going full on Pence. Pence fouled the ball off, and then he ended up walking it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, then we've got, where we're at. We got the bases loaded and a wild pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And it unraveled a little bit on Aaron out there. And again, I love him in that spot. I love him in the spot to come in and throw the slider and get the big out. You can think about recently he was in that situation in September and came in and got a double play ball. And hindsight's great when it doesn't work out and it doesn't go your way. But he's our guy for that spot, and he's been that all year, and he's done a fantastic job with it.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that.
Yeah.
If you could predict the future, you wouldn't put Barrett in there.
Right.
But just watching him pitch at that moment, he threw 12 pitches and 4 of them for strikes. You kind of knew. When did you get the vibe? You know what? Barrett's just not ready for this.
That's not the point, though.
Mm-hmm.
He is ready for that. He is ready to be that guy. He was that guy all year. It's not about him being ready. It's he missed with 3 fastballs, got back to a full count, Pence fouled the ball off, and ended up walking it. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
It happens in baseball.
Right.
Now, if he makes a good pitch on a slider and Pence hits into a double play, then it was the perfect guy for the situation.
Right.
But it didn't happen. It didn't go that way. And so that hindsight's a wonderful thing, but we make the decisions on guys to bring them in to do their job, what they do best, and that was what Aaron does best.
Yeah, we're talking to Nats manager Matt Williams, and again, we love Matt for coming on every week. Appreciate you bearing with us with some of these questions. You did a lot of moves that work too, and that's why I sometimes feel it's unfair when people are grilling you. You had some of these roster decisions, and you put Blevins on, and he was great every time you used him. I think Soriano came in there when you called on him. I didn't know why he was on the roster, and he worked out. When you're making some of these decisions and you're going through this process, first of all, just on the Clippard deal, a lot of people want to know why you didn't get to Clip. At what point were you thinking all along, I'm just going to wait till the 8th because that's what he's done all year? Or, were you thinking, maybe if there's a spot here, I'm going to get him in sooner because we need him now?
Well, we need everybody.
Yeah.
We need everybody on the roster to get to a point where we win and move on.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to contribute.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen for us in the series. There's talk out there about why wasn't Steven in the game? Well, Steven wasn't in the game because Steven was never relieved.
Right.
He was in the same situation that Tanner was in Game 2. That he was the late guy, multiple inning guy, and the last guy and Steven's never even been in that situation that Tanner was in coming out of the bullpen. So there's all kinds of, again,
Right.
when it doesn't go right, people talk, and I understand.
Right.
I understand frustration, and I understand that folks talk about it. But we made the decisions to help our team win, and the best decisions we could make, and it didn't work out. And so who's to blame or who gets it? I get it because I'm the manager, and that's fine. I expect that. I expect to have the questions asked. But if Aaron comes in and strikes out Pence and strikes out Sandoval, then we move on, and we've got a chance to win that game. It didn't happen.
Can you tell us the decision-making process, how it goes down? Like, we could see clearly you're consulting with McCaddy the whole game. We could see that.
Of course, we always do, yeah.
Yeah, right. When you're making these decisions, can you tell us how it typically works? Are you basically really relying on him because that's his area of expertise? He's the pitching coach. He's suggesting things, and you're going with it? Or is it more of a equal collaboration? And then I'm wondering, as you're making all of these calls, and you're making hundreds of decisions in these games, were you guys pretty much in agreement on all of them, or were there times where you stood out there and said, no, I'm going this way, this is my gut?
Well, we do this on an everyday basis, first and foremost.
Right.
So every day, regardless of whether it's opening day or the playoffs, we have a set plan going in, and that certainly works if everything goes our way. But we also adjust within the game. So during a situation like that, when we have Matt Thornton out there to get the two lefties out,
right,
and try to work through, and it doesn't happen, then we have to make adjustments on the fly, which we do every single day. So I consult with Steve. I consult with Randy. We get together as a group. We talk about it, who's available, who's not, on an everyday basis. And what matchups that may be there. We have all the information in front of us, and go with what we want to go with. So, are there times when we disagree? Yeah, there's times when we disagree. There's times when we agree and we say, yeah, that's the right move. So, I mean, it depends on the situation. It depends on the state of the game and where we're at.
Matt, I want to get off decision making for just a second and talk about Bryce Harper. Was what we saw from Bryce Harper in this series the tip of the iceberg for him?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's, like everything else, there's questions. There's questions about Bryce and his future and whether he's going to live up to the hype that everybody has put on him. I think he answered a lot of those, and I think that's great. Albeit in a losing effort, I think he answered a lot of those questions. And that's good for him. He works really hard, you guys.
Mm-hmm. Is he going to be a 3 or 4 hitter next year?
Huh?
Is he going to be a 3 or 4 hitter next year?
Yeah, he's got potential to do that. I'm not going to sit here on the radio in October and say that's my 3 hitter. But does he have potential to do that? Sure. I think he worked through his injury well, and I know that he's going to be itching to go to spring training, and I think he did really well in the series and answered some questions.
Let me ask you this. This might sound like a stupid question, but do you have a whole new perspective on the game of baseball? Have you learned more about the game of baseball from being a rookie manager this year than you thought you could going into it?
Well, I think there's a lot about the game that everybody learns every day. So to answer your question, yeah, mm-hmm. Of course. The more experience you get, the more you learn. Try to take that and take it forward with you. I think overall, as a manager, there's so many different things that you deal with on an everyday basis that you don't really know until you get into it. But yeah, of course, you guys. Of course I do.
All right.
I try to learn something new every day and take it with me and try to do the best job we can.
We're in the dugout with Washington Nationals manager Matt Williams. What was your favorite storyline of the Nats 2014 season? Was it the emergence of Tanner Roark? Was it Denard Span batting .302? Was it Rendon having the breakout season? Do you have one that you can kind of latch on to that's one of your favorites?
Well, nothing personally with any personal guy. I just, for me, albeit that it didn't end the way we wanted it to end, the way we went about it this year and the way they kept fighting all year long to achieve their goal, their first and foremost goal, which was to win the division, the way they went about it is gratifying to me. A lot of storylines within that season, and overall, the guys played really hard and they played really well, and dealt with some adversity, dealt with a lot of injuries, dealt with guys being out, and stepped up and did well enough to win the division, and that's important. It's important for them, and for me, what I want is for them to look upon that as a positive. Look upon the playoff series and say, we didn't get where we wanted to get to, but we played well and we overcame a lot to get there, and overcame a lot to be champions of the East, and they should be proud of that. I'm very proud of them for that.
You know what's so frustrating, Matt? And I can't even fathom how frustrated you and the guys must be. Is, as you said, you have this amazing regular season, really amazing second half. And then, we see it happen in all these different series, right? In a short series, anything can happen. Your bats got cold and you're out. And now it's so daunting just as a fan. I'm speaking now as a fan. And now I got to sit here and go, wait the whole offseason. I don't know how you guys can tolerate that. And then now I almost feel like the regular season's freaking worthless. Because we went in there, as a fan, I couldn't have been more confident, right, in what we had. Loved the lineup. I thought everything was hitting on all cylinders. This is what you're looking for. And then, boom, 4 games later, it's over. As a manager, I mean, I don't know. Do you lose a little faith in all of this?
Well, I've played too.
Yeah.
So
it's not news to you. You get it.
I've been there. I've been on a World Series team that got swept. I've been on a World Series team that made it to extra innings of Game 7 and got beat. I've also been on a World Series team that won it in the bottom of the ninth, the most improbable win against Mariano Rivera.
Right.
So you catch a team that's hot, you can get beat. You don't execute, you can get beat. So that's the way the playoffs are. So what do you take from it? You take the positives out of it. And, this game is such a negative game. You succeed 3 out of 10 times, you're really good, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means you're failing 7 times.
Right.
So you take the positives. That's all you can do. If you play baseball long enough or you're involved in it long enough, all you can do is take the positives out of it and move forward. Take the next step forward.
Well, Matt, we want to thank you again for joining us all throughout the season. We wish you nothing but the best in the offseason and going forward. It's Matt Williams from your Washington Nationals, and we have to thank Burke and Herbert Bank for sponsoring the segment
That's
throughout.
very cool.
I guess the next time we see you will be at like Giovanni's or whatever that Italian restaurant is down in spring training.
I look forward to it. That'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Have a great offseason.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Talk soon. All
Really
right.
has been great all season talking to him.
He's a great guy, and you try to ask the questions respectfully. What are we going to do?
Yeah, I mean, those are tough questions. He's got to answer them.
All right, we're going to totally switch gears. Coming up next, we're going to talk to comedian, actor Joe Rogan, also UFC commentator on The Fan.
In the dugout.